Okay, so let's dive into one of Greek mythology's most brutal, most visceral tragedies. Now, this isn't just a story about gods and heroes, it's a cautionary tale, a really human one, about an emotion so powerful it can literally destroy everything in its path, including the person feeling it. We're talking about the myth of Medea.
Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts of this story, I want you to just hold this one question in your mind. What is the true cost of revenge? Because the story of Medea offers one of the most chilling answers you'll ever hear, and it's the question that's going to guide us through this whole thing.
To really understand Medea, what makes her tick, we first have to understand the specific emotion that drives her. See, the ancient Greeks had a word for it, a concept they were deeply, deeply afraid of, and it's so much more than just being angry.
This is ira. Think of it less like a flash of temper and more like a volcano. It's this all-consuming force, a rage so out of control that it just burns right through logic, love, and even the basic instinct for self-preservation. And here's the crucial part. When ira takes over, it's not just about hurting your enemy anymore. It becomes a force of total self-annihilation. This is the fire that ignites Medea's story.
You know, it feels like every great tragedy starts with a great love story. And Medea's love for the hero Jason, it was epic. It was built on unbelievable sacrifice, which is exactly what makes its end in devastating betrayal so much worse. Let's see how that incredible love curdled into absolute hate.
I mean, you have to stop and think about the sheer scale of what Medea sacrificed for Jason. She betrayed her own father, a king. She murdered her brother just to make sure they could escape. She gave up her entire homeland. And for what? They build a life together in Corinth, they have 2 sons, and after all of that, Jason, driven by his own ambition, decides to just cast her aside for a strategic marriage to a younger princess.
And that's his excuse. That's the justification he gives her. It's so cold, so calculated, so public. He actually tries to frame his betrayal as some kind of pragmatic choice for the family he's in the middle of destroying. It's that moment, that profound disrespect on top of everything else, that acts as the spark. The fuse of her ira is officially lit.
So you'd expect sadness, right? Tears? Nope. Medea's reaction was something else entirely. They say the eyes that once looked at Jason with so much love turned into burning coals. Her grief didn't paralyze her. It instantly transformed into cold, methodical planning. This wasn't going to be some messy crime of passion. Oh no, this was about to become a masterpiece of vengeance.
All right, let's get into the first stage of her terrible revenge. You'll see, her wrath wasn't just some wild, senseless lashing out. It was precise, it was cruel, and it was aimed squarely at Jason's shiny new source of happiness. Just look at how deliberate this is. She uses her incredible powers as a sorceress, not to escape, not to build a new life, but to inflict the maximum amount of pain. She crafts this beautiful gift, a gown and a crown, and enchants them with a deadly, magical fire. And then, in a move of just staggering cruelty, she has her own sons deliver this fatal present to a replacement.
And the result is horrific. The moment the princess, Glows, puts on the gifts, they just erupt into magical flames, consuming her alive. Her father, King Creon, rushes in to try and save her, and he's killed by the inferno too. So when Jason hears the news, he runs back to Medea in a total panic, probably thinking the worst has to be over now. But he is devastatingly wrong.
You see, getting revenge on Jason's new family, that was only the beginning. Medea knew that to truly, completely destroy him, she had to take away not just his future, but the living, breathing legacy of their past. And that brings us to the story's absolute, horrifying climax.
This is what she says to Jason when he finds her. Her voice is like ice. She's in their children's room, and she's holding a sword. Her words make her motivation terrifyingly clear. This isn't just chaos. This is a transaction. An eye for an eye. A love for a love.
And the price for Jason's betrayal? It would be this. Two innocent lives. Her own sons. The only part of her life with Jason that should have been untouchable. But in the grip of her ire, they became nothing more than weapons. The ultimate weapons to inflict pain upon their father.
And right here, we see the awful, terrible truth of ira. By killing her children to punish Jason, she is annihilating the most precious part of herself. She is destroying her own legacy, her own motherhood, her own love forever. This is that self-annihilation we talked about, ira reaching its final, horrifying conclusion. Total self-destruction in the pursuit of destroying someone else. So, what happens after an act that you can't even comprehend? What's left when that fire of wrath finally burns itself out? Let's take a look at the aftermath, at the total ruin left behind.
Just look at this. There are no winners here, not even close. Jason is left with absolutely nothing, a broken man surrounded by the bodies of everyone he ever cared about. His ambition got him nothing but ruin. And Medea? Well, she escapes, physically, whisked away on a dragon chariot sent by her grandfather, the sun god. But she doesn't really escape, does she? She is left to live forever with the memory and the guilt of what she did.
And that, right there, is the brutal, unmistakable moral of this myth. Medea's actions didn't bring her justice. They didn't bring her peace. They certainly didn't restore what she had lost. Her uncontrolled rage just acted like a fire that burned everything and everyone to the ground, and it scorched her own soul in the process.
So we end right where we began, but maybe with a bit of a new perspective. The myth of Medea forces us, even now, to ask this timeless question. When we are profoundly wronged, how do we seek justice without letting the rage from that injustice consume us and destroy us in the process? It's a question as real today as it was in ancient Greece.